Welcome to episode 2 of Suits SMP. Last episode, I got to know the players and got to know a little bit about the basics of the server. But today, as soon as I logged on, I found this. So if you didn't see the first episode, you might be a bit confused. I had a big chest in this blown up shop, which had a stack and a half of iron in it, and like tens of diamonds, and everything I worked like 2.5 hours for was all in that shop, and was all blown to smithereens. Now, anyone's first thought when they see their base blown up is who could have done this. I checked to see who was online, and the only person was Axel. In my last video, I mentioned where my valuable chest was. Now, someone on the SMP must have seen the video and blown up my base. Now, of course, my immediate suspicion went on the player that was online, and my suspicions became even bigger when I saw this. Axel put in chat, "Your new vid is good," meaning that he watched it. Then after that, Axel sent a rather interesting and weird message. Axel mentioned about the part of the video where I said to not look for the people who are on the SMP. And he was asking if it was in my shop. Now, how did Axel know it was about my shop if he didn't watch it? Yes, he maybe could have guessed because I was in the shop when I said that, but it's still slightly weird, and that stood in the back of my mind. So now I tried to get him to come to spawn, as this was just way too weird, and I just needed him to come to spawn to try and get some more information out of him. But no matter how much I begged him to come to spawn, he just wouldn't. So Axel was obviously asking why, and I just felt that I'd keep it secret to try and get him to come and find out, and hopefully the curiosity will get the better of him. But still, he wouldn't budge. After trying to get him to come for a long time, I just eventually had to tell him to try and get him to come over. Now, Axel still wouldn't come, and I kind of eventually just gave up. Now, it was round about here where the emotions got to me. If it was really Axel who blew up my base, I wanted revenge. I couldn't let 2.5 hours of work just be taken away from me, and then that's it. So, with me being filled with rage, I eventually decided to try and go find Axel's base. Now, like I said in the first episode, each suit makes their own base. Now, Axel is part of the diamonds, and the diamonds base was in a certain direction, which led to a desert. I thought if I had no leads whatsoever on where his base was, apart from him telling me earlier a few thousand blocks away, then that's all I had. And the best thing that I could do was say he was in his base and he decided to run the opposite way from spawn. So that is what I did as well. So I kept running until I found a desert temple. Now, of course, you can't pass by a desert temple and not loot it, so I began to run inside. And guess what I saw when I walked through the front door? This desert temple had been looted, meaning that someone has been here. Now, you see this Netherrack pillar? Well, that also can point towards one man. Blue-axolotl. While I was finishing while he was finishing on the last episode, he was in the Nether, meaning that he might have been one of the only people to have Netherrack by now. This only did one thing, which was make my suspicions on Axo even bigger. Now, there was nothing left in there, literally everything was taken, but there was a village, not that far away from it. Now, it was really hard to know whether this had been looted or not. Even after looking at the recordings, I'm not sure. I think it has been visited to before. But there was an iron golem there, and the reason why I think it had been looted before is later I saw two rabbit bodies just on the floor, which after looking at the recordings I didn't kill any rats. Not rats, rabbits. So honestly don't know, but yeah, iron golem's still here, so I got the iron. I then picked a random house to dump all my stuff and carried on my journey as I felt like I wasn't that far away. So after I saw that, I thought that I was actually getting closer than I ever would have thought. But then Axo put something in chat that's quite interesting. Axo was going to go to spawn. I could finally get all the answers to my questions, and I was so close to finding his base, but I had to go to spawn. So that's where I started heading. While I was getting closer, the nerves started to kick in. I had to ask all the right questions as I couldn't mess this up. So I was getting my story straight. And throughout the whole time, I was gathering information. I was about 1,500 blocks away. If I beat Axo back to spawn, this means that he's further away. But if he beats me, then that means he is closer than 1,500 blocks away. I am taking in every single little piece of information, and everything I say is to catch someone out. Every single person on this server, especially the person, whoever it was who took my stuff, needs to be scared. I am here not to make friends, but to be the most powerful person on the SMP. And this is just the first enemy of probably many. So, although I'm a spade, you need to stay away and be careful what you say to me. I eventually came up with the plan. I was going to ask Axo as many questions as possible. Like how rough the terrain was getting to spawn, like what took you so long, how far away is it, all of this stuff to try and pinpoint exactly where his base was. And while I was running back, I was also quickly messaging Clay to hop on, as I needed help. He made the rules, he created this server. I doubt he done something like this so early on. He created this to be a peaceful server, and I don't think he would just break what he wanted it to be after only 100 days. So, time for the big reveal. Did I get back before Axel? Well, yeah. And I was really hoping that the answer was no, as that would have narrowed it down a lot. But still, some positives came from this. I was just roaming about spawn, waiting for Axel to reply to my message, when he's just there. I didn't see him get there. Was he there the whole time? This messed up with my head. What? I was really confused. Did I beat him to spawn, or did he beat me? This didn't. And even after this recording, I couldn't stop thinking about this. Me and Axel sat looking at the wreckage together, and I couldn't tell. Was this all an act? Did Axel blow up my base and pretend to be shocked? I really didn't know. But I snapped back into reality, and I remembered what I had to do. So, I started blatantly lying to him. I said I had no tools and just armor, maybe trying to gain sympathy. Maybe he'd give up that it was him, who knows. And then, eventually, he put the blame on someone else, who I have never seen online before. He put the blame on another player called Cyan Knight. I have never seen Cyan ever in game before, never spoken to him, but apparently, says Axel, he was on earlier that day. Do I believe Axel? Well, what I decided to do was eventually just wait until Clay came on, as Clay was really the only person that I could trust in this moment. I started to ask him questions about the Cyan Knight theory, as he doesn't sub to me. I have no clue if he watched the video, and if he didn't watch the video, how would he know my stuff was there to blow up my shop? But Axel never answered. Instead, he took me to the diamond base, which was kind of him. Then he then stopped and gave me loads of iron. Why would someone who just took a stack and a half of iron from you give you 20 back? This wasn't adding up to me, and this was my first glimmer of hope that maybe it wasn't Axel after all. But anything that I thought, I would have to change as soon as Clay got on, and I just wanted to know what his thoughts were. Eventually, Cyan offered to give me his recordings from when I wasn't on the server, to show that he wasn't there, which this was really helpful. I could completely eliminate Axel from being a suspect, and maybe it could prove that Cyan was the person who did it. I started jumping around anxiously, feeling, was all of this thought that I was putting into it worth it? But Axel didn't give it to me, because he said that it had his bass chords in it, which I guess is true, but he could have just cut out the times that had his bass chords, or like quickly edited over it. It wouldn't have taken him that long. So I really don't know, and I didn't know whether to believe this or not. So then I was following Axel to his base, as he said he could give me some stuff. But then something big happened. I'm not sure if you know, but that was Clay who just joined. So me and Axel tell Clay to go to spawn and look at the damage that we all know that happened. I didn't know what Clay's emotions were, but I could just tell that he was disappointed. Now, nothing really that important happened with Clay. I eventually got in a VC with him and started talking to him about what happened. And there's not much he could tell me, but one thing that he did tell me was that Cyan was at spawn earlier. Axel wasn't lying. So I kind of started to trust Axel a bit more. After I came back to spawn with Axel, all of a sudden every single thought I had of being him started to change. My suspicions changed to the person who I have never seen before. And I let everyone know who my suspicions were on. After this, to try and gain some of Axel's trust and maybe make him show me where his base was, I showed him mine because I knew I didn't have anything in there. And yeah, he gave me tips on how to hide it better, which was actually really nice. And yeah, I could use those tips in the future because he's helped me out. Someone who I thought was robbing me and was trying to grief me is actually extremely helpful. Then, quite a lot later that day, I got an interesting message from Axel. He said he found the Holy Grail. Now, I thought that must have just meant he found a cave with like 100 diamonds in it or something like that. But no, it was much better. He said he found Cyan's base. Cyan, if you are out there, I am coming for you. You are not safe, and everyone in this SMP who has wronged me, be scared.